And we're back, and we're here to do some upgrades on the Team Corrali Kagama. Okay, we got the Kagama on the bench again. We got the wheels and tires stripped off of it. We're going to remove the wing also. I got a new wing we're going to put on there. This one isn't broken, but I got a new body we're going to put on here. That'll be a surprise at the end, because its body's been painted, custom painted for a long time by me, and I've never used it, and I thought it'd be a perfect time to use it with our limited edition gold Cobra 8. Now this is the limited edition new Cobra 8 system, 32-bit, so it keeps more, has more memory. I don't know all the details. I'm sure there's people who know more about that than me. Castle's 8-scale systems have always been very powerful, but the whole reason I'm attracted to putting this in this truck is it's a censored system, so I'm going to get the super high power along with super easy control. So throttle control, brake control, do the tricks a little easier, and hopefully that'll make this truck a little bit more manageable to drive. The Team Corrali stock system is wicked fast. I mean, it is not slow. And really not any reason to upgrade it, but besides I like the smoothness of the performance of a censored system. So I want to try that in this truck and see how it goes. So we need to remove the motor, the ESC, swap around a few things. Also, we got some M2C racing parts. As you can see, we have a broken rear. It's not the arm, it's the rear mount. And we bent the rear shock tower last time we had it out. So we got M2C racing carbon fiber shock towers. I went carbon fiber, I don't know, to go a little bit lighter. And they were just a tad cheaper than the beefcake ones. If these break and don't work out, we'll go with the beefcake. We are doing the beefcake rear hinge pin mounts. These are new for the Kagama, because that's one of the parts that actually broke. We also got the beefcake rear, I'm guessing these are hardened steel hinge pins. We're going to put those in. And then the number one thing that breaks on this truck that is a problem, I constantly am breaking the upper shock mounts on the front just over and over and over. I think I went through a couple packages already of the stock ones. These ones are bigger, hardened, made out of better steel, so those are definitely going on. And that's it for the parts. So we're going to do a motor upgrade, do some parts, try to make this pretty quick, and we'll just get started here tearing this car down. Okay guys, I'm going to jump in here for a sec and just give you a little update. This project I started about a month and a half ago, and we got it all put together within the same night. No problem, but we ran into some problems with the ESC. And so the build went beautifully, M2C, the Corrali, all the parts fit, everything went in, we did the wiring. But we ran into an issue with the Cobra 8, and at the end of the video, I'm going to go over the build, and then I'm going to discuss what happened with the Cobra 8, and if I found a solution that has made this function. So please watch till the end of the video if you're interested in knowing if this ESC is worth it. Okay, we're going to do the front shock tower first. That one's going to be fairly simple. You don't really have to take too much apart to do this. Just got to pull the shocks off. These are what I've been breaking the most, is those shock mounts, so those are the most worthy upgrade. And I've bent a front shock tower and a rear shock tower now, both on pretty gnarly crashes. I mean, stuff that doesn't surprise me that it broke. It's like we need to tighten that shock cap. Looks like it's been loose. Overall, this truck has been pretty fun. It's wicked fast. Kind of hard to control in the air because it spools up so fast, and which is cool. They have some of the best electronics in the 8 scales. I mean, if anybody's ever seen Razor RC, he does a lot of stuff. He's got a pretty big channel. He chose this truck over the Creighton EXB and the Traxxas Sledge, and a lot had to do with the electronics that it has in it being such a good quality. high-powered system that's fully programmable, just like it's just basically Hobbywing stuff with the Corrali name on it. One of my favorite tools is this Team Corrali Torque Master. I use this for everything. This thing, since I've got it, has probably it's maintained all of my cars and has probably built 10 to 12 kits from scratch. That's quite good. It still runs really good. I've had no breakages or anything. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a driver. It's kind of finicky a little bit, but once you get used to it, it works great. Looks like we got a bent hinge pin. I don't have any replacements for that, so we'll just have to deal with it for now. It didn't seem like the suspension was bound up or anything, so I'm sure it'll be fine. This one's also bent. Something to look at. I wonder if anybody's going to make some upgraded pins. I mean, they haven't failed. Like I said, they weren't binding up the suspension, but so yeah, we got the M2C front carbon fiber Kagama. It's the 11004C. Now they do have the heavy duty beefcake ones if you're not into the carbon fiber, and they're machined aluminum, super thick, 7075, awesome looking. A little bit more expensive than the carbon, but I wanted the carbon for a little bit of weight savings, and carbon is cool. So it looks like M2C didn't change any of the geometry or anything. They just matched up the holes exactly where everything was. So that's good. You can see how much more there is to the carbon fiber. It's not cut out as much. That's going to help beef it up a little bit, especially in these little areas here. Okay, there's the front shock tower. Looks really sweet. Saved a few grams, probably. Looks nice. Alright, so now we got to work on the rear. The rear is going to be a little bit more involved. We got to take more apart, primarily to get to this inner hinge pin mount up here so we can replace it with the M2C part. So that requires us to completely remove the gearbox, wing mount, all that stuff. So we're going to time lapse this for the most part. Okay, we got the hinge pin braces on. We almost got the shock tower off. Let's open up this carbon fiber shock tower. Very nice looking. Okay, now we got the rear end all put back together. I will say that the rear end is a lot of work to replace all that stuff. There is so many screws in this bracing system, wing mount, tons of screws, which is probably what makes this truck so beefy. Got just a teeny bit of flex in all shock towers. I think they're going to hold up pretty good, but we'll see how that's going to go. So next, we need to remove the electronics and install the Cobra 8 system. Okay, let's unbox this Cobra 8. You can see I already took the wrapping off of it. I took a look at it a while ago, but we'll show you what you get in the box. So you get the Cobra 8. This is the combo, and it's gold, the limited edition gold. So the specs are, you get the Cobra 8, and you get a 1515 2200 kV brushless motor, 60,000 RPMs, standard 8 scale stuff. We'll open up the Cobra 8 ESC first. Quick start guide. The thing that's nice about this is it comes with the version 4 Castle link. We'll pull this ESC out of here. Was hoping at some point that Castle would upgrade their switches, but this ESC looks really nice. Full aluminum bottom case. They have a new fan guard upgrade. Nice heavy duty wires. You can see it doesn't come with a connector on it. I'm going to run a single XT60 on this because I have switched over to running 6S battery packs. They're a lot less of a pain in the butt to deal with than running dual 3Ss. The Corrali stuff does not work well with the dual 3S, even though all these years I've been running them with that. The battery box hasn't been changed since version, well, I guess in version 2 they kind of changed it, but it's not tall enough to keep the batteries in, so under a hard impact in the front, the batteries can shoot out. So I've switched over to the 6S because they're smaller. They fit in there a little nicer, so we're just going to do a single plug, not a dual. They got the same switch they've always had. I mean, it seems to work most of the time on mine, but sometimes, I don't know, always thought they'd upgrade the switch. There's your sensor wire. This has there's your ESC wire to the receiver, and then this is an optional wire to where you can set it up to have turn on and off drag brake, or do a couple different features from a third channel and turn it on and off within. It's the same as what they've had on the Max so what they've had before on the Mamba X. So like if you wanted to do crawling or rock racing, I'm not sure the purpose of it on this, but I'm sure it's some kind of a brake adjustment that you can do, or maybe different throttle settings or something. Here we opening up the motor. You just got a brief little thing. Here's an optional shorter sensor wire, looks like. Comes with motor screws. And then this is what makes it this one limited edition. The only thing that's different is the color. So this is the gold edition. 2200. Comes with the connectors all hooked up. It looks like they're going to be plenty long enough to put in the Kagama. Pretty nice looking motor. This thing should be a beast. Like I said, I'm not upgrading the system to be faster than the original one, because the original system is quite fast. I'm upgrading this to get the smoothness and stuff of a censored system. So we're going to go ahead and get that installed. It's probably going to be a fairly lengthy install with routing all the wires and stuff. So to be honest with you, I'm not going to bore you with that. We're just going to get it installed and we'll cut back to the finished product. Okay, and we have everything assembled, all the wiring's done, and everything is ready to go. But, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we had a problem with the ESC. But before we get to the ESC, let's talk about the Kagama in general. This thing is fairly simple to work on, but is very overbuilt. So, taking apart the front end, I mean, there was at least 12 different screws just to get the shock tower off, get everything put back together. We did the upgraded shock mounts. That was easy. The rear was a lot more into it because we did a lot more with the rear bracing, but there was absolutely no issues with the M2C rear braces, the hinge pins. The shock towers fit beautifully. They look really nice if you can see them there. Swivel it around to the front one. Everything looks good. I think this carbon is going to hold up really well. I know some people are convinced that aluminum is better, but aluminum bends. Carbon's a little bit lighter, and the Kagama's a little bit heavier than the previous version Korono. So I like carbon, and so that's why I went that direction, as mentioned earlier, and it looks really cool. So everything went together beautifully there. We got all the fans hooked up. Everything's good. Motors mounted in. All that went really well. There was a lot of wiring to do, and so that was really boring to even show. So anyway, the one thing that we haven't showed or didn't reveal was the body that we're going to put on this car. Now, I custom painted this body about 2 years ago, maybe, for the original Koronos, and just decided to never use it. And then I got a Koronos V2, never decided to use that, and now I've decided we need to use it. The body's very clean. I like it a lot, and that's why it's kind of just sat. But so here we go. Here's the body. This is the Proline Ram something. Ram, I'm not totally sure. Custom painted it, airbrush. We got some copper, metallic, black, red, and some orange. It turned out really nice, but because it's been sitting around for so long, you can see it's got like a storage rash here and there, but never been used yet. So very cool looking body. Does fit on the here, and I did have to use a different front mount. You can use Arma mounts on these, the adjustable ones. I couldn't find my Arma mount, so I have a Hobeo mount up here. Actually works okay. I do have the Arma ones around here, but couldn't find it. But this is a body option that does actually fit. It's very narrow, but it does fit over the side guards. And so, yeah, that's going to be super sweet to run. Give the just a whole different look. You can see I got a brand new wing that's all blacked out to go with this build. So let's get to what we had to deal with the Cobra 8. Okay guys, so now we're going to talk about the Cobra 8 ESC and the issues I ran into with this. Now, the Cobra 8, as soon as I seen that it was out, I pre-ordered it. So this is on the first run, and the hobby shop ended up getting a few of these, and so all of the first runs of these, maybe even the second runs, are going to probably have some of the same issues. Now, I don't know if all of them did or not, but is what I was experiencing is when you would jam on the throttle all the way, it would take a second and a half for this thing to spool up and actually starting to gain speed. So it was almost like it had traction control engaged. And it did it every time you pulled the trigger. And then even as it was rolling, say you had it rolling at 30%, you know, maybe it's doing 20 miles an hour rolling, if you would squeeze the trigger would not engage till after 50%. So you were still getting a lag even after the truck was rolling. And it was extremely weird to drive. I noticed it instantly there was a problem. I went through, before I even ran the truck, I knew that the Cobra 8, there was another video from somebody that had an issue with censored motors, so I did the update already. So the original production firmware update of this was like 1.13, and then the second one is 1.14. It still did not function on the 1.14. I think I got my numbers correctly, at least the last two numbers are correct. And so I contacted Castle told them about my issues. I went through everything, rewired everything. I tried a bunch of stuff, and I couldn't get it to stop doing it. Contacted Castle, and they contacted me back immediately. Asked me a couple questions. I answered back, and then they asked for a phone call. So I actually talked to the guy on the phone and went over with him what we was experiencing, and he just said, basically, this is a all brand new platform for them. The 32-bit, the whole everything. It's nothing the same as their previous stuff, and so programming it all the way from the bottom up, and they were experiencing a few things here and there, and he said that he would put me on the beta testing system, but I've heard that they're not very good at that sort of thing. They don't really notify people to do beta testing. But he said there would be some updates coming out, but he could not promise me when. And for $389, should have worked out of the box. It's a very expensive unit, not something everybody's going to upgrade to. So, very disappointed, but I waited patiently. Castle is an American company. Their stuff is made here. Some of their components are made elsewhere, like everything else. So I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. They never contacted me again about any beta updates or anything. So I finally decided after a month and a half, was check the Castle, I plugged it in, and since then they have done 2 more updates. So I installed the third one was 1.17, and I installed 1.21. So this is the firmware update, and tested it this weekend, and it's by far 95% better. There still is a little bit of lag on the mid-range throttle when it's cruising, but when you jam on a throttle, this thing will literally flip over backwards now. Has tons of power, so no more of that traction problem. It's fixed. That part is gone. But I did notice that he still has that little bit of a lazy trigger, and I don't know if that's the pinion is spinning, so it's kind of RPM sensing. I've never really experienced that before, but it kind of feels a little weird, but it was way better than originally. So they have fixed the problem. All future Cobra 8s that come out will be updated. So I'm not trying to give them a bad, I'm just telling you what I experienced. If any of you guys come across the ESC that is acting up, it comes with the programmer, the V2. You're going to have to download the Castle Link version 2 to your computer and do the update. It's not too complicated to do, and it does come with the programmer, so you don't have to spend an extra $30-something to do it. And then your problem solved. Other than that, the motor is perfectly fine. The motor is super powerful. I did notice just testing it, it felt like it was getting a little warm, but I was just goosing it, trying to just test what I was having original problems with. So I haven't actually bashed it or anything yet because I wanted to keep it clean for the video. So with that being said, I'm going to do a separate video about updating the Cobra 8 and what I had to go through. And if anybody's having problems with the Cobra 8, feel free to contact Castle, tell them what the deal is, or just update it to the next firmware. It's pretty easy to do, but for $389, it was kind of a disappointment to have to do it, and I've had this truck built for well over a month and a half, and it's just been sitting waiting for updates. So other than that, I'm super excited to finally get it out and run it. We have the body, everything is done, it seems to be running good. If I run into any more issues with the Cobra 8, I will mention it in my Cobra 8 video, because I'm going to run this before I do that and make sure everything is good with the heat and all that stuff. So anyway guys, I hope you liked this video. The Kagama is awesome. I think the Cobra 8 is going to be the future of powerful ESCs, but just be mindful that if you get one that's been in your hobby shop, has had on the shelf for a minute, it might have an issue. Anyway guys, please like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for watching.